What is up, guys? Crazy weekend we just had here. Another video on this channel. Welcome back to the Alec Chaos Boxing, MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, anything involving combat sports or anything of my personal liking. Today we had a great and amazing weekend. Now, I'm just being kind of sarcastic about that. We had one of the most interesting viewings of weekends we could possibly even imagine. Number one, starting with the infamous Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua, where I'm going to go through the fight, talk about my own opinions, how crazy enough Jake Paul has changed the boxing world, good or bad. I have no fucking idea. All right. And this is kind of the notes I'm going down here. The first thing is that Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. Then we will go discussing about the good news about Tony Ferguson versus Warren Spencer. I think that's his name, if I'm not mistaken. And then Anderson Silva versus Tyron Woodley. And lastly, which I don't even want to talk about it because it was a very awful fight, Andrew Tate versus Chase Moore. Or Chase Moore. I think that's, yeah, Chase Moore. I don't even know these people's name. I want to hear talking about their topics about this. God damn it. What the hell happened? Right here. This sums up what happened with Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. You see this guy's face? He's smiling. The entire night, he wasn't really looking for the right hand. 6th round, towards the end, saw Jake Paul shell up. Boom. Literally cracked him hard. And my favorite thing is, well, always, look at these videos. Look at these comments. This right here. I don't even know if I'm going to get, like, copyright or anything. But holy shit. That just happened. Right here. This guy really just showed who he is. And let me move this real quick. Boom. Right there. This is a better angle. I don't even know if I should show this video because sometimes like they're gonna fucking put it down to change the more situation. This sums it up pretty well. This sums up what happened. This is the perfect example of this fight. Anthony Joshua literally was just moving around, stalking his prey, and Jake Paul was just running around, playing his safety. Did not even want to engage. He threw more takedowns than punches landed. This is a boxing fight. This isn't even an MMA fight. This guy shot for more single legs, more double legs that I have seen in a boxing match. And at the end of the day, we're all pretty much losers. I'm being honest. They both made tons of money. Tons and tons of money. All that taxes they're paying. They're still getting home in their yacht, big house, nice paycheck. They probably are here celebrating together. While we, paying a Netflix subscription, got to see this mockery in one of those glorious sports of boxing. And look, shout out to Anthony Joshua. He came for the money. I think personally he knows that he's not going to go fight for the belt again or be a champion again. So now he, as at that point, he has accomplished everything. Right? He's a gold medal Olympic boxing champion in a heavyweight division. He was a former champion. His only loss has become against elite fighters. You know, elite fighters. He fights Jake Paul, who's a YouTuber. A guy who's been boxing for the past probably, 5, 6, 7 years? Has no accolades. His loss are against people who are either decent or great boxers, but most of his wins came over retired MMA fighters. Guys who shouldn't even be in the ring. I remember his first boxing match was against a guy who was a basketball player. What was that? Right, he went up against Tommy Fury, and Tommy Fury is literally like a C, B minus tier boxer. He's not a B plus. He's not an A minus. This guy's not even an accolade. He doesn't even box often like his older brother. He's just a pretty boy model, just tends to box here and there. And he lost against that dude. Now, granted, do you think Jake Paul could beat him in the rematch? No. I think Jake Paul is one of those guys who knows how to get people's attention, and he did. And we lost. We lost, and I think this just shows a lot in the combat sports mockery. There's guys out there putting their lives every single day, putting in the ring, fighting for scratch for $200, $300, trying to get as much time in the ring. And there's this dude who has not even a quarter of their experience of these guys and making hundreds, thousands of times more their money they'll ever see in their life. And that's the state of boxing right now. You know, there's some super fights, but there's some gimmick fights like these, and they overshadow the true fights out there. I think true combat sports will ignore this and move on, but unfortunately, this is part of boxing history, and that's something that we will be talking about years to come. Now, I want to kind of move on past this subject because it's kind of beating a dead horse. I do want to look at the videos, the comments, what people are saying. I mean, Drake posted 200. He usually drops about 1 million. This is probably his like tax write-off for something. You know, I didn't even know this is real. I really don't know. But this just shows the damage. Holy, yeah, I think this is it. Yeah, this is literally. But hey, look, for $90 million, anybody will take this. Anybody will take this. For $90 million, anybody will take that beating. And yes, Jake Paul lost, Andrew Tate lost, Tony Ferguson won. And I think this alludes to a perfect segue to my next point. The GOAT, one of the greatest of all time. You know, this is where I was going to go down to the good and the bad over the weekend, because there's a lot of mixed feelings. A lot of people didn't like what happened. But there's one thing we could all agree on. Unks won this weekend in the MMA community. Anderson Silva being one of them. Tony Ferguson being one of them. Look, I get Tyron Woodley gets a lot of hate on, but he goes out. I don't know why he's still boxing. Obviously, his chin is gone. I just worry about his mental health, his physical health, especially taking all these damages, and he's not getting any younger. This is not the first time we've seen Tyron Woodley sleep on the boxing floor. He is now 0-3, 2 times being knocked out, literally back to back. And I just hope he's able to find new ways to make money instead of putting himself and his health in his risk. Good, that's all he knows. He's a former welterweight champion. One of the best guys to do it. Now, as a long stretch, because during his prime time, he beat like Darren Till, he beat Wonder Boy, he beat Robert Lawler, right? He did show out that his grit, his power, his hands are really bad. But in the MMA world, you can make an exception just because your wrestling skills, your kicking, your aggressiveness. There's other aspect to the MMA than instead of boxing. And this is where we saw Anderson Silva did a beautiful way. The way he set it up, the way he lifted his knee, got Tyron Woodley to react to it. No, he's a MMA fighter. Any other boxer would probably not really react to it because they don't expect the knee coming up. Anderson Silva knew. He knew immediately what to do. He understood. The first round looked like it was a sparring match. It was a tit-to-tat going in. Second round, 50 years old. 50 years old. Like, sit down with that. You know how many 50-year-olds are out there that are fighting in prime shape, good shape? Almost none, as far as I know, personally. This guy is out there still fighting, still competing, and still putting in a show, finishing Tyron Woodley. Shout out to the great Unk. I mean, obviously his fight against Jake Paul was very laid down. But he's still out there proving what he can and can't be done. He's a great fighter. I don't know what's next for him. I think he should still be taking these kind of MMA fighters, maybe a boxer out there. I just don't want to see Anderson Silva get knocked out, get hurt. He is up there in age. But things like this is like what? You know, inspires me. You know, he's still never quit. He's been fighting since pretty much birth. This guy's been fighting far longer than I've been on this planet. That is insane. You know, he's 50 years old and still doing this. That is something I love. I want to go back into what happened here. Look at that knee. and boom, uppercut. That was already pretty much over. It was already pretty much done at that point. That knee set up, throw out, faking a jab, then up right hook, and then for a right. Jesus, I'm already screwing up. He goes, feints a knee, feints a jab, then goes for a right uppercut, and then a right hook. Sorry, I'm just too excited. It's just something wonderful, something beautiful. This is art. If you don't really understand it, this is what really art is. The way he was able to read Tyron Woodley, able to understand what he was doing, and able to set that up beautifully. I mean, and look at this. This was different. I want to go skip this to where he knocks right here. Look at this. This is prime Silva. Hands down. Forrest arguably beat Rampage for the belt only because of leg kicks. It was a very boring fight. If you go back and look at the classics, Forrest was an alright fighter. He was a staple boy for the UFC because he did make and help UFC become what it is today. So they do owe him a lot of credit, and that's something that I take away from him. But man, just look at this now. His coordination, way to find that button is the same right hand that knocked out Tyron Woodley. It is amazing. Different angle. This is his debut that people always talk about. Boom. I mean, look at that. Boom, boom. It's just art in martial arts, and someone that should always be studied. If you're a mixed martial artist who is pursuing to be an MMA fighter, he is definitely one of those guys that you want to look at. Does he have bad habits keeping his hands low? Yes. Was he a great wrestler? No. But it was that he was able to find this flow. Then when he finds it, he's just able to pickpocket you. He was able to find his ways. His whole body was a weapon. He was able to flow like water, like Bruce Lee said. It's an amazing. That was insane. His knees, his elbows. He was one of those matchups that I really wished I would have seen a prime Silva versus a prime Jones. Jones would have wrestled him more likely, but I would wonder if Silva's guard would have held up. He would have found a finishing on the ground. Because striking-wise, both of them are very long. Jones is just slightly taller and slightly longer arms. But I don't think Jones would have given Silva any problems in the striking department. It would have been in the wrestling department, in the clinch moments. And Jones would have had to out-muscle him, which we have seen Silva struggle with, but he was able to find that win, Great weekend for Silva. I mean, this dude put on a clinic against Tyron Woodley on that second round. Now, moving on to the next one. Tony Ferguson. Unk. Was this AI? No, I think it's a painting. No, I think this is AI. Maybe. But Unk, he did it after losing 8 fights in a row. 8 fights in a row. One of those brutal ways. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to talk about this dude without even getting sentimental, because this guy at his point, at his peak, was the boogeyman in the lightweight. The people who were beaten. I mean, there's photos, and I'm not gonna hear talk about Inglaze because we already know who Tony Ferguson is. But him winning 2 boxing in a row, his first one being a knockout, this one was going through the distance, and he was going to finish him. I mean, the way he was screaming at this dude's in his face. I mean, come on. When I was watching it live, I was just excited. I was pumped. I was like, dude, finish him, please. In the last, I think these are 5 rounds, 6 rounds, no, 6 rounds. In the last round, this dude almost got the finish, and I was just up in my seats, just waiting, screaming. Look, shout out to the other dude, right? He put up a good fight. He did bring out the hard side of Tony, even though Tony's like 38, 39. He broke this dude's teeth. This dude had grit. He bite down the mouthpiece, and he kept pushing forward. There's no argument that this dude did a really good job. And look, August 30th was his first win in 6 years. Now he's 2-0. I mean, this is prime days, man. This is prime days. He'd make every opponent bloodied. He'd put the pressure on anybody. He was the guy that they thought he could beat Khabib. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of like, I think I'm getting sick. Hopefully not. The reason why it's Terence Crawford. Okay, let's not get over there. But dude, 1 of 5. It was a 5-round fight. So it was in the 5th round. It was in the 5th round that Tony almost finished him. But throughout the entire night, it was usually that jab that really helped Tony. It was a jab that set up. He wasn't doing anything too crazy. There's one time he almost threw a spinning. You could already tell he wanted to throw a spinning back elbow. He just did a whole fucking 360. But he always had great hands. Tony had always great hands. He had always a very strong mindset and a chin that was pretty much unbreakable. Like this dude, obviously until Michael Chandler like front kicked his face. That was hard to watch. And that was a fight that he was winning. He was winning that fight. But this man, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. This referee sucked. He even burnt 10 seconds in a round. But hey, whatever. You know, shout out to Tony. Shout out to El Cucuy. We're kind of glad the Unks were back this weekend. And I could not have been even more proud. And most of the guys in the MMA, I mean, the comments speak to themselves. People are crying. I mean, it's just an amazing way to end 2025. An amazing way to end 2025. And I will say this year was the comeback year for a lot of fighters, starting with Alex, both Alex actually, crazy, Volkanovski and Pereira, Peter Yan, Anderson Silva, which I don't think Anderson Silva was a comeback, but the way to end the year for him was an amazing way. And Tony Ferguson. It's a misfits promotion, but hey, look, a win is a win. A boxer is a boxer. He's a fighter through and through. That's what he knows, and he's pursuing it. And like he said, we talked to Brock Lesnar, like, find whatever your passion or second best love and just stick to it. And he loves competing. This guy is a competitor, and I only hope the best. What's next for him, I do not know. I hope he still builds up, makes that money, and he's able to retire. But I think he's going to keep boxing until he's like 43, 44. I just don't think he's going to stop. He's still conditioned well. His chin is still holding up. And I do genuinely believe, because the lack of the training, MMA preparation is a lot harder than boxing. Just because you have to worry about the wrestling, or worry about jiu-jitsu, or about the leg kicks. There's a lot more to it to prepare compared to boxing. And I think that's just helped him conditionally and his mental not to take that much damage. Now, to the head is different, but to the rest of the body is just something like, okay, all I have to worry about is my hands. So I like to see him stay in the boxing misfits. I do not want to see him in bare knuckle. That's just going to hurt a lot more. Stay in the boxing misfits, and let's see what's next for him. Lastly, we need to talk about is this god-awful fight. I could quit this now. Andrew Tate lost to this dude. I mean, he's been getting torn up the entire time. This is one of the worst boxing I've ever seen in my life. Pretty much a summary of the weekend here. This is exactly what Tate did. He didn't cry like that heavy, but he literally went out there and claimed that he was still top G. Now, look, I know there's a long history of Tate, good or bad, but this was a very embarrassing. This is a guy who we lost to, by the way. That was pretty much the best shot the entire night. The thing with Chase, and I'm not here being like a boxing coach, but his problem was that anytime they were disengaged after the clinch, he would immediately go for an uppercut from a long distance. You caught him a couple times, but the thing with the Chase, like, you had to set up with the jab. You clinch, you put up, hit a jab, get him to react, and then the uppercut. And you don't start your uppercut down from your knees. You keep up next to your body, and then you shoot. And then you shoot, right? Or when you have him by tight ropes and you're using your body to pretty much drain him, now you push him out, find your shots, pick him out. You throw a jab, a cross, a jab, a left hook, a jab, hook to the body, straight. Like, again, Tate has kickboxing experience before this. He was at ICSA, I think that's the organization that he was fighting for, champion. Was he fighting Cans? Maybe. I don't know. But he's a legit kickboxer, right? He would kick most people's asses, right? And in his prime. He's trained for it. He has experience. He's not just like a dude who's just stepping out and is fighting for the first time. No, he's been in that situation. And anybody who fought in the ring or in the cage, big or small, knows what it takes, how mentally taxing it is, and people who has never gone to fight before don't know. But I'm not gonna give him respect and saying like, holy shit, he fought for his life off or stuff. Most people are going for Tate in this situation. This dude was, again, a kickboxer, claimed to be his top G, big guy, millionaire, have Bugattis, yachts. He's been caught with a lot of things the past couple years. Was over there in hiding in Romania, been in jail in house, was in this very sticky situation, got out, got in his organization. For what reason? Maybe because of money issues. Maybe he was trying to build up his fame again. And it failed, right? Now, the only thing I would give him credit is they went and fought it out. They really did fought their ass off. Awful how it is. Prince is looking that way. They fought like, it just looked like it was both of their first boxing matches. And Chase Moore literally only beat him because he was just younger and had a little bit more energy, a little bit more output. The first 2 rounds was for Tate. After that, the Moore would start picking it up. Could have been a draw. But hey, look. The Moore did it. He's a champion. And the Misfits, it's not like a fucking, it's not like an IBC or anything like that, right? And I think just moving forward here is just, I just don't want to entertain this type of fights anymore. Obviously for a topic of this, it's nice to see, nice to watch. Sometimes after a long year, you kind of want to just watch some shit post. This is what it was. This was just a very awful sign of combat. But we all got to laugh from it, And at the end of the day, whether you liked it or not, he fought his ass out. It's been a long time since he stepped in the cage, or not a cage, in a ring, and he competed it. He didn't really had to, but he did it. And win or lose, that's the one thing I admire. Give credit when credit is due. He fought. He could have just stayed home and did nothing, but he went out, called him out, even bought a stake out at the Misfit to be a CEO. I'm guessing his whole plan was to win this fight and continue building it up and continue to prove he is top G. But it all failed. So we will see what's going to happen for next year if he's going to fight again. I wouldn't. If I were him, I would just stay out, continue talking your podcast and stuff, because it's just going to be very difficult, especially you're not going to get any better, right? You're 39 or 40 years old pretty much. Your skills is already like going downhill at that point, and you kind of have no hunger for it. Chase, he's just got to stick what he's doing, stick to what you're doing. I guess I shout out to him. Right, and he might be overlooked, but I guess he was the hero of the weekend. Give it a round of applause. The hero of the weekend was Chase. And it came out of nowhere. No one, everybody that I was looking at videos and prediction, he was the least likely person I thought I was going to win. He went out and did it. Now, I want to switch up to the last segment of this channel. That was pretty much the recap of the weekend. My opinion, how it was. Was it good? Was it bad? That's just how it is. We kind of have no MMA content over the weekend, so we just had a lot of just pretty much just boxing. So I want y'all to let me know in the comments moving forward. We're gonna cover anything here in this channel, and we'll see you next time. Peace.